Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about alternative UK mental health helplines and charities that you can contact if you are feeling low or struggling with your mental health. In this video I am going to be talking about 6 different charities and sort of mental health helplines. I kind of thought they were really useful. I have used at least once for every single one of these charities. So I'm talking from personal experience and not from like a general perspective. So I hope that you enjoy. In the comment section below, I would like you to leave 3 words that are descriptive words of how you were feeling today. So this is an approach that when I was talking to one of my friends, she said that her therapist gets her to talk about 3 words that are describing her day, rather than just saying, like, you know, the therapist says, how are you? And, you know, you can say, I'm good or I'm all right. Like, those words are just, you know, words that you can throw about and don't really mean much. So I would like you in the comment section below to write 3 words that describe how you are feeling right now. My words for today are going to be positive, fulfilled and content. So I would love to see what your words are for the day, and yeah, we might actually be able to start this as a little trend on YouTube, so let's see. But without further ado, let's get started. So you may notice something behind me. So I got a sign for my Instagram made, and it's so good. So it says Deeanna Louise 8, which is my Instagram and my TikTok handle, so please go follow me on both of those social medias. Also, can you please hit the subscribe button, because every subscribe really helps. So I actually wrote everything down, because if I didn't write things down, I was going to forget. So the first alternative UK helpline number I would like to talk about is the Caravan counselling service. It is a drop-in counselling service, and before coronavirus they were allowing people just to come to the Caravan and have support and get it sort of that way, but because of coronavirus they only, at this current point in time, as of the 20th of June 2021, are only accepting phone calls. So the number I will put on screen now, but if you're listening to this and you need it for audio purposes, it is 0207 183 1802. So that number again is 0207 183 1802. And that is the number for them to be able to kind of, usually what you would do is you would ring them, and sometimes a counsellor, if they're available, will answer straight away, and sometimes it can be a little bit like delayed. But if you call on their opening times, they will usually call you back. So if it goes to voicemail, please don't be afraid to leave your name, your number, and kind of a brief description of kind of what support you require. So their opening times are Monday to Friday, 11 AM to 7 PM, and Saturday and Sunday, 10 AM to 7 PM. So they're open for an extra hour on the weekends. So that's always good. I will leave the link in the description box below if you would like to get any support from the Caravan counselling service in London. So the next charity I would like to talk about is the Samaritans. So the Samaritans is an amazing service. They have really helped me to kind of talk through my issues, because a lot of the time when I contact my CMHT or I contact the crisis team, they want to kind of get you off the phone as quick as possible, and that might not be the intention, but that's the way it comes across. And I kind of sometimes need just a chat, just someone to talk to me, to have a good conversation, and the Samaritans has always provided that for me. So the Samaritans number is 116 123. And they are open 24/7, 365 days a year, so you can call them whenever. And I think it's a really good service. Basically, you call them up and you get connected to a waiting service sometimes, if there's like quite a few people waiting to talk to advisors. But if you get sort of lucky and you're kind of there where it's not too busy, then you'll be put through to an advisor straight away. So the third charity I would like to talk about is the Maytree in London. So the Maytree in London, I actually only found out about fairly recently, and basically before COVID they were allowing people to come and stay in this sort of house, and you would stay there for up to 72 hours and get support for your mental health, meals provided, everything like that. It was just kind of like almost respite for somebody who's struggling, and especially when your home environment is causing a lot of the struggles. So they say as long as you can get to the Maytree in London. That is the only requirement, and you come there with a suitcase and you get a room basically. At the moment, they're not allowing anyone to stay at the house as far as I'm aware, but they do take calls and they do offer a regular weekly counselling session, which is for an hour. So if you call them between the hours of 8 AM and 8 PM, you will get a call back within 24 hours, and then from there they will organise for you to have once weekly sessions for however many sessions they feel is appropriate. So I find one of the issues with the crisis team is the fact that they don't know the background, whereas when the Maytree London people call you, they have already sat there for a little bit before the call and they have kind of had a look at your history and they've got an idea as to what you struggle with and why and stuff like that. So when they call you, there's no need to go through all that background history again, which is really reassuring, because the last thing I want to do when I'm in a distressed state or that I'm struggling just in general with my mental health is to have to to go through all the backstory again. But I will say that the Maytree in London is not a crisis service. They provide counselling at the moment and they can provide respite stays, but because there's only one house, they can't provide loads of stays. They are hoping to get a house up in Manchester as well, so hopefully within the year of 2021 they should be able to have 2 houses, but at the moment there is only a house in London. So the number for the Maytree in London is 020 7263 7070. That number again is 020 7263 7070. The fourth alternative number I would like to talk about is a charity called Papyrus. Papyrus is for anyone under the age of 25, I believe it's that. I think that's a cut-off, who is struggling with suicidal ideations or suicidal thoughts. They are open from 9 AM to midnight, 365 days a year, and they provide just a lot of support in terms of if you're struggling and you want to end it basically, and you're in that distressed state. They provide a space which is, more of a conversation, more of a talk, rather than just kind of not being able to get your feelings out. They definitely are a good service for anyone who is struggling from suicidal ideation or suicidal thoughts, who's under the age of 25. They are really helpful. They really helped me. And then they said because I was 25 and that is the cut-off, age for them, they suggested a few other sort of charities, and that's where I got all of these charities from, which I'm now sharing with you, because the crisis team aren't always the best. And I'm one of those people who just never really got on with the crisis team, and because of that, I just, needed that extra bit of support, that extra, alternative numbers, because when you get referred to mental health services, you get said, okay, well, if you're under the CMHT, you can call us 9 to 5, and then any time outside of those hours, you call the crisis team. And these sort of numbers for the charities are never really made known. So because they're not made known, you don't know about these charities. And some people, like myself, prefer talking to people who have the time to listen, rather than calling the crisis team and being told to have a bath or have a cup of tea or something like that. And sometimes that can come down as quite condescending when you just are telling people to do some simple tasks, which they probably have already done. So I definitely prefer calling charities, usually over the crisis team. So the number for Papyrus is 0800 068 4141, and that is basically a number for under 25-year-olds who are struggling with suicidal ideation or suicidal, the risk of suicide. The next 2 charities I'm going to be talking about are bereavement charities. So if you are not looking for something like that, then this is the end of the general charities that I'll be talking about. But these 2 are charities that have really helped me in terms of when I was coping with my bereavement for losing a friend. So just a bit of backstory, I lost a friend due to suicide in 2018, and I definitely suffered with the grief from that, and I really wasn't coping, and these charities have really provided me with a lot of support. So I would like to start off with Cruse Bereavement. So Cruse Bereavement is a counselling service which is suited to people who have had a bereavement, basically, rather than just general counselling. It's almost like bereavement focused counselling sort of thing. And the number for them is 0808 808 1677. So that number again is 0808 808 1677. They are open Monday to Friday, 9:30 a.m. to 5 p.m, with extended hours on a Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, meaning that they are open from 9:30 a.m. until 8 p.m. Saturday and Sundays, they are open from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. They, for me, really helped me. So when I was going through my bereavement with my friend, I didn't get help for the first year because I was told by so many doctors that I didn't need help and I didn't need any sort of support for it. And after a year of grieving and not really having that sort of support, I contacted the Cruse Bereavement Centre, and I felt like I was being listened to, and I felt like I had somebody who was able to understand that, you know, it's a friend, yes, but I still grieved as much as I would have done if it was my sister, because we were incredibly close. The last charity I'm going to be talking about is kind of following on from the whole me losing my friend from suicide. So it is called the Survivors of Bereavement by Suicide, or SOBS for short. Their number is 0300 111 5065. So their number again is 0300 111 5065. They are open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m, and that will connect you through to a national hub. But if you go onto their website, which will be linked in the description box below, you can click on the link which says find a support group, and it will give you a list of areas within England, and it will allow you to kind of click on your nearest area, and then you can from there find out where your nearest Survivors of Bereavement by Suicide group is. At the moment, they are offering Zoom sessions, which usually, in my experience, last around an hour. But obviously that is for my group and I can't speak for other groups. We, as a group, I think we do it once monthly, but that is just because of, you know, the fact that it's Zoom and it's not meeting up. When it's been okay with the government restrictions, we have done walks, and we've also recently just completed a Survivors of Bereavement by Suicide fundraising walk, where if you signed up to it, you had to walk a mile every day for the whole month. And that was really, really good. I actually got a badge for doing it, and I will show you, I'll insert a picture as to the badge because it's actually a really cool badge. But yeah, so those two charities, the Cruse and the SOBS, have really, really helped me to come to terms with my bereavement from my friend. But I hope that in this video you have been able to gain some knowledge and also been able to gain a few additional numbers that you can call on if you are struggling with anything relating to sort of mental health struggles or anything like that, because sometimes calling the crisis team isn't always the best option. Not for everybody. They're there and they're great when it helps, but not everybody responds well to the approach that the crisis team use. So I thought I would just provide a few different numbers for you to give it a go. So that's it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope that you like the new background. It is amazing. I actually hand painted the Deeanna and Louise myself. I brought it so it wasn't painted because I wanted to paint it in the colour that my old bedroom at my parents' house was, and then my friend and my mum suggested the glitter, so I thought I would give that a go.